Blowout is a film that's written and directed by Brian De Palma. It came out in 1981. So Blowout was last week's Patron Poll winner, and it's a film that I'm kind of late on reviewing. It's just been a hectic week with me moving, plus the Criterion halls and everything like that, and just setting up the new studio, which, by the way, I apologize because there's still going to be an echo in here for a while until I get everything echo-proofed. But Blowout was the Patron Poll winner of last week. And if voting in Patron polls for movies that you want me to review is something that you're interested in, it's only $1 a month, and you'll get access to the bi-weekly polls. Also, be part of the Discord chat for $5 a month. You get to recommend movies on a weekly basis. We get to have movie nights. We have voice chats every Saturday. It's a blast. But anyway, Blowout is a film that's been on my radar for quite some time. Considering the fact that I've actually have seen this film in my earlier days in college, but that was like 6 or 7 years ago, so my memory of it is extremely blurred. I only had a decent memory of a few scenes in that film, but in terms of what I thought about it, I really couldn't tell you. And at this point in my life now, I've heard nothing but glowing things about Blowout, and a lot of people consider it to be one of his best works, if not his best work. And this was a film that he made right after Dressed to Kill, which is a film that I also watched and reviewed and enjoyed quite a bit. And after watching Blowout, there's a lot of things about this film that I really admired and appreciated, and I could definitely see why a lot of people would consider this to be one of De Palma's best. I still don't know if I like this better than Dressed to Kill. Right now, it's basically on par with Dressed to Kill, which is a good thing because I really, really enjoyed Dressed to Kill. But a lot of the reasons that I admired and enjoy Blowout are the same reasons why I really enjoyed Dressed to Kill. And a lot of it has to do with, again, that style and that personality behind the camera that really elevates the material above and beyond what it's given. It's those unique editing choices and those stylistic movements of the camera that makes this an interesting watch from start to finish. And even just from a structural standpoint and from a presentational standpoint, it's also really unique and clever in a lot of different ways. The opening scene of this film is really interesting because obviously you're taking the film seriously, especially if it's an opening scene. And it gets to a point where you're like, am I supposed to really take this seriously? Because it has this intentional B-grade approach to it. And then once the scene progresses, you realize that it is kind of just playing a big trick on the audience. And to me is trying to express that filmmaking is a manipulative art form, while at the same time paying homage to a genre of filmmaking that I'm sure Brian De Palma loves. One other thing I thought was pretty clever about this film was its incorporation of foreshadowing, because John Travolta's character, who is essentially the main character of this film, he's basically somebody who works as the recording engineer or the audio engineer for really B-grade, shitty horror movies. And they run into an issue really early on in the film where one of the actresses that plays a role in their crappy movie gives off an incredibly unconvincing scream. So later on, they're trying to audition women that can give off a convincing scream that they can then dub over the horrible scream that's in the crappy movie. And John Travolta's friend, who is essentially like the producer, he has a line of dialogue that I find really interesting where he tells the women that he's auditioning, hey, remember, this is the pivotal moment of the film. So remember, give off the best possible scream you can. And sure enough, by the ending of the film, there's a pivotal moment that includes a gut-wrenching scream from the main actress played by Nancy Allen. And I just thought that was a really clever use of foreshadowing that not only leads to something in the third act of the film, but also at the same time serves as this kind of meta and fourth wall breaking moment in a way that didn't seem so obvious and in your face. But yeah, even beyond the writing and some of the structural choices, as I mentioned, it's a lot of the stylistic choices behind the camera in terms of the editing and the movements of the camera that makes this film stand out and feel really unique in and of itself. What I've come to learn from watching a lot of Brian De Palma films lately is that one of his signature moves in his films is to include split screen perspectives and also the diopter shots. And Blowout obviously has a handful of both of those stylistic techniques. and I think they work very well in this film, especially the split screen choices, because again, I think Brian De Palma likes to use those in his films quite a bit. Not only do I think because it's just stylistically pleasing and aesthetically pleasing to look at, and it's just kind of a fun, cool way to present a scene, but also because it has a lot to do with understanding perspective, and the split screen is used for that reason. And also with the diopter shots, you have this really, in my opinion, iconic sequence that includes John Travolta's character mistakenly recording the audio of a car accident. And through that entire sequence, you have such delicate uses of sound where you can tell with each cut and each scene, Brian De Palma and his team are desperately trying to make sure that every little second and every little measurement of distance is calculated. And it makes it to where you truly feel like, as an audience member, are experiencing this event with the main character as he is. And again, huge thanks to the delicacy of the audio there, but also, as I mentioned, the diopter shots that really get you to understand that perspective can change a lot of what you perceive to be as the truth. Because later on in the film, you get to witness the entire sequence, but from a slightly different perspective and angle. And again, it kind of goes to show you that just the slight difference of angle and perspective can unveil certain truths that you had no idea was there. But there's this one scene in the film that might be my favorite scene in the entire film. And it's a scene that I believe happens in the second act of the film. And it's a scene where John Travolta's character essentially finds out that all of his audio tapes have been tampered with. And throughout that entire scene, the camera is just rotating around the room very slowly. And it never stops. The camera just keeps slowly rotating and rotating throughout the entire scene as John Travolta's character is just panicking. And it's just a really well captured scene because not only does it really increase the tension and the anxiety out of the audience, but I think it also captures the kind of psychological state of the main character. One thing I will say about the film, though, is that the score I'm kind of mixed on. I feel like the score is actually something that kind of dragged the film down in a number of ways, because to me it just felt tone deaf. There's some sequences where the score is really well incorporated, and I thought just overall was really well done. Then there's other scenes where the score and the tune is just so over the top and out there. It happens in a chase sequence in the third act of the film. There's a moment in the first act of the film where John Travolta meets Nancy Allen for the first time, and you get this really cheesy piano romantic music. And you also have some incorporations of the score that are just have bad timing, to be honest with you. There's this use of saxophone where you can tell that he's trying to go for this neo-noir vibe. And it's just the timing is and the placement is just not there. If you just waited a few seconds before incorporating the score, it would have fit better. In the third act of the film, I'm kind of mixed on as well, because even though there are some beautiful moments that are beautifully shot, one that has to do with a rotating shot while fireworks are going on in the background, while beneath the surface there's something really tragic happening. But even though there's moments like that in it, just the overall structure and the sequence of events that occur don't feel the most natural or believable, and that kind of bothered me. And at first, John Travolta's decision-making that has to do with wiretapping somebody, I thought was just really dumb for somebody who seemed to be incredibly smart and skeptical. But the more I thought about it and after further discussion, I think it actually really makes sense for his character to do that, because he does have a past to where he really can't get over his previous failures, and he kind of has this obsession to kind of have some redemption for it. So I can see that making sense there. But overall, I did really enjoy the film. I bought it on Criterion, so that alone should really say a lot. But yeah, this is a Brian De Palma film that you've been sleeping on. I definitely say that you should give it a shot. So I'm going to give Blowout a soft 8 out of 10. Yeah, I was kind of teetering between a strong 7 or a soft 8, but there really is a lot present in this film that is just worthy of appreciation. So for that reason, I kind of had to give it a soft 8. But anyways, that's all I got to say about Blowout. If you really enjoyed what I had to say about the film, just give it a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.